Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am Darnok with TGN, bringing you game number 3 of this Best of 7 series. Absolutely fantastic. I love having piles and piles of games to cast. The third map here is going to be Terminus Re, one of the largest maps in circulation right now. As you can see, it's absolutely massive. So big. Nice, massive 4-player map. Good macro map, and I would not be surprised if we saw a very, very long, intense game over here. Let's go ahead and introduce our players. In the east and the right, we do have the green Protoss player, Grubby. Grubby. Fun word to say, indeed. Also a very good Warcraft 3 player, turned Starcraft 2. In the north, we do have Liquid TLO, the red Terran player, almost calling him Zerg. I guess I had traveled back in time to earlier this year when he was playing Zerg. But he is Terran now. He is very, very scary as well, and I would love to see what strategy he does opt to do on this map. I have seen him play TVP on this map a couple times before. It actually might have only been once, but I have seen him play it before. Last time I did see him play it was a really, really cool Ghost Rush strategy where he got a couple ghosts, like a nuke and an EMP, and then went forward with some Hellions, some Marines, some Ghosts, and like a Medevac. It was a really weird unit composition, but he actually just straight up killed his opponent, so it was super cool, and I would love to see him do something like that again, and I would not be surprised if he does do at least something creative, because you know what, that is TLO, that's what he does. He just comes up with the craziest builds and then executes them perfectly. Very, very fun thing to watch indeed. I'm going to have a quick sip of water, so hopefully I don't start hacking during the cast again. Because being sick is absolutely the worst thing in the world. I hate it so much. Especially when it's my job to talk and it impairs my talking. It's just not pretty. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad indeed. Grubby harassing with that probe, being very, very annoying indeed. Actually, just going to go for a one hit and then going to head home. Interesting choice, but you know what? Whatever. I guess it works for him. TLO has taken this gas over here, so we will not be seeing a super-duper fast expansion from him. He's going to be going a little bit more techie at the very least. Going to be interesting to see what he does decide to spend that gas on, and it is going to be a factory, so there it does go down. Looks like we're going to see a 1-1-1 build from TLO here. In the meantime, we are going to start getting a glimpse into what build Grubby's going to decide to go to, as he does finally have that Cybernetics core up, and that is what you want to look for when you are looking at a Protoss player, is what does he do after that Cyber core? Does he add more gates? Does he go for a Nexus? Does he go for a Stargate? Does he go for a Twilight Council? There are just so many options from the Protoss player's point of view, so we're going to want to keep an eye on that. No add-ons yet for TLO. And actually, he's pulled guys off of gas, which is rather interesting. So he's going to go for some Marine Hellion pressure, is what it looks like. Not something we see too often against Protoss players, but you know what? TLO, he can make it work. I have faith in him. He's a baller. So we're going to have to take a look and see how that goes. Grubby adding on 2 more gateways, starting to look a lot like a 3-gate expand, which is pretty standard. Actually would have liked to see a 1-gate expand on this map. On really big maps, 1-gate expands are actually a little bit stronger than 3-gate expands, because by the time any early pressure would come, you're already going to have your 2nd and 3rd gate up, even if you did get down that Nexus first. And on top of that, your economy is going to be a lot better, so you can support it a lot better, even add on a 4th and 5th gateway, and it just is pretty easy to do. Command Center is on the way for TLO. His Hellions are starting to pop out of that factory now. One Hellion did try to make it up into the main. Man, that little gasket or whatever did in fact go flying. SCV going to be trying to come over here. Maybe wants to put that Hellion back together, but it is not going to have that chance, as that Stalker is ruthlessly going to shoot it down, and then Grubby can drop down an expansion of his own. Man, TLO throwing down a 3rd command center before his 2nd is even finished. That's, of course, going to be floated over to his 3rd base, and that is one of the reasons this map is so good for macro games, as you have your main base over here, you run down this ramp, you see your natural, and then down another ramp you have a 3rd, which is pretty safe as well. All you got to be careful of is the destructible debris over here. That can, of course, be broken down, and then you have a way into your 3rd base. But it is still pretty safe in the early game, and you can get a nice economic lead there, and that is exactly what Liquid TLO, our Terran hero over here, is going to be abusing. So essentially, Grubby's response to this is, first he's obviously going to have to scout it, which he has not quite yet. This one stalker running away from the Hellions actually probably should have just stood and fought. Probably would have killed at least one of them, since as you can see, the Hellions are actually taking so long to kill it. It's actually kind of sad, kind of funny, depending on your point of view. But what Grubby's going to have to do is he's actually going to have to react to this. He's going to have to spot this. Has not quite yet, though, as he has no observer. And he could be in a little bit of trouble, because when you do have an opponent going so greedily at this economy, you really have to either expand yourself. He's going to have to take a third base very quickly himself, or he's going to have to try to abuse that timing window that TLO has, where he hasn't been able to have those bases kick in with production yet, and he spent 800 minerals on buildings and not actual combat units. And then you want to try and do a timing attack and do a lot of damage there. However, Grubby actually doesn't know this is happening yet, so he hasn't had the chance to do either, and it looks like TLO is going to be getting off to an early lead over here with that second command center, which is now up, though he has not floated it over quite yet. He is going to want to wait until he has some more SCVs, and as soon as both of these mineral lines are saturated, then he will decide to float it over. Or he'll just do it now. Wait, it'll make me look retarded. TLO, I'm so angry at you right now. Regardless, Grubby is finally flying this observer over here, but if it's just going to go there and go back, as the waypoint suggested, he's not going to see this third base, and he'll be continually in the dark. Not going to head back, though, so he still has a chance. He's going to see all of the production from TLO at the very least. He does have the 4 barracks, the factory, and the starport. Going to go check, see, does he have his natural expansion? The answer is yes, but that is where Grubby is going to stop. He's not going to go over here and check out the third base as well, so he still has no idea that that's happening, and you can see it from his play. He thinks they're on equal bases, so he's playing rather conservatively. He's just sitting back, building that forge for upgrades, not really producing a whole lot out of that robotics facility there. We do see an immortal start getting built, but he's really not doing what he needs to combat this opening from TLO. Force field's going to go down, only trapping a single Hellion. Not really sure if it's worth 4 force fields for a Hellion, but of course he did want to catch more. He just missed it a little bit. Stim just finishing for our Terran player. There it is. Now all of those units do have access to drugs. Don't do drugs, kids. It's probably not the wisest decision in the world. And Grubby can be throwing down that third base now, which is good, but this base has been up for so much longer than Grubby's, as we can see. Actually, TLO not keeping up on that SCV production too much, only 43, 44 SCVs to the 46 probes of his opponent, but he does have those mules, so he is still going to have an economic advantage over there. Grubby continuing to be very, very active with this observer, which I absolutely love to see. Ghost Academy on the way from our Terran player. That's an armory. That's not a Ghost Academy. Where's the Ghost Academy? There's the Ghost Academy. Okay, TLO, you trickster, making me think that was a Ghost Academy with your armory. How rude of you. There's also a Twilight Council up for our Protoss player. There it is. There's also a Photon Cannon, but that doesn't really matter. Charge being researched from that Twilight Council, and Grubby deciding that he wants to move out over here with a pretty scary unit composition right now. He does have a couple Immortals, which are very, very good against those Marauders, of course, and he did have a nice mixed Gateway army as well, but not going to go very deep with it at all, just poking forward and making sure there's not a big army waiting right outside his door or anything like that, and then he's going to continue just prowling around this map. This Hellion, actually, look at that sneaky Hellion. I almost didn't even see him. If I had health bars turned off, I would have no idea he was there. Grubby continuing to hang out in the center of the map over here. Both of these players playing very, very conservatively. A very gentlemanly game of StarCraft we do have here today. Just sitting back, macroing up, getting some tech, getting some upgrades. Neither of them really want to go through the whole process of actually fighting each other. They just want to sit back and relax. Grubby already on +1 with his units, researching +2 right now. Charge about to finish. TLO, in the meantime, is also on +1 attack, but he alternatively is about to be finishing +1 armor as well. Researching combat shields, researching his ghost energy upgrade, getting some ghosts out right now, and it looks like he's going to be setting up for a similar game to that last one, except he's not being ridiculous and saying, I'm going to get +3/+3 in the first 10 minutes. Yeah. Which was an interesting choice. It did work out, but it did make that early game very, very shaky for him, I do have to say. Grubby going for almost pure gateway unit composition over here, which is a fun build to see. Basically what you do is you want to get on 3 bases pretty quickly, which he has done. You add on a bunch of gateways. You do want to get 2 forges, though, and Grubby only has 1 forge. When you're going for those heavy gateway units, it's really important to have them as upgraded as possible. Uh-oh, Grubby also has a DT. He's going to be able to get it over here. There's no detection down here at all, and in fact, TLO is moving out with his army as well. This is the worst possible time for TLO to be attacked by those DTs. That DT is going to get 3 kills. All the SCVs are going to come up over here, building the missile turrets right now. Another DT in the main. That does have 6 kills. We are going to see both armies clash in the middle of the map over here. Good force fields going down for Grubby. No EMPs from TLO, which is a lot of a problem. And there we go. 1 EMP does go down. However, looks like TLO, with that armor upgrade, is going to win out. And again, it is so important to have 2 forges. Now, Grubby did recently add on a 2nd forge. He's researching +2, +1 right now, but +1 armor not going to finish for a while. +2 going to be very important. This DT in the 3rd is still up at his 4 kills. It's continuing to hack away at that 3rd command center. Actually getting it very low. TLO could lose this, I think. SCV's desperately running over here. An EMP goes down, and there we go. He does barely save it. There's a green thing over here. That's an observer. Okay, that's not a DT. And TLO handling that relatively well. If we take a look at the units tab, though, he is really hurting on the harvester count. 48 SCVs to 73 probes. He did lose so many SCVs in that engagement. Another DT going to run by, going to get out of the detection range of that turret with 1 health. TLO so unlucky right now, as those Dark Templars are absolutely tearing apart his mineral lines. Now, this Dark Templar should die. No, it ran through the range of the missile turret, but the Marines were not close enough to auto-attack it. TLO pushing forward into the natural in the meantime. Good EMP going off on those Protoss units. However, there are some DTs over here. There's a scan. It's going to be important to focus those DTs down. They do go down. Probes getting pulled off the line as well. TLO microing back, and he looks like he's in a pretty good position, as there are a lot of Immortals over here, but not too many Marauders for TLO, so those Immortals do fall very quickly, not too effective against anything other than Marauders with this unit composition. And Grubby does look like he is in some trouble, getting beaten back once again. He can warp in quite a few Zealots, however, but the Terran player has such longevity with those +2 upgrades and those medevacs. Those infantry units are just not dying, and I think we might see a GG from Grubby here pretty quickly, as his DT harass has stopped. No longer going to be enough. He's researching +3 ground weapons, but doesn't actually have any units to really take advantage of that. And TLO is just continuing to stream in those Marines, those Marauders, those Ghosts, and things are looking pretty bad for Grubby at this point. Grubby was massing up in the corner of his 3rd base over here for one last stand. Not going to survive, though. All of his units are going to go down. The scan drops. The DT is going to get focused down. And this looks like it's it for Grubby. And there is the GG. TLO going to take game number 2 of this best of 7 series, up 2-1 now. Did I say take game number 2? Take game number 3. Take his 2nd game that he has won. And he is going to be ahead right now. And these games are actually pretty good. I wasn't so convinced at the beginning. I was like, well, it's Grubby. Is he that good? And, yeah, he's not as good as TLO or anything like that. But you know what? He can still make for entertaining games. Looks like there was another DT hanging out over here. Ooh, 11 kills, Instructor. And you know that DT is happy that the game ended when it did, because he did not look like he was a very comfortable guy. So thank you guys for watching. Let's go check out game number 4 and see if Grubby is able to tie it up, or if TLO just further lengthens his lead.